Hello, this is Jan here, and this is just a video about some of the repairs we've been doing to the car, like rust repair, welding, painting the wheels, and doing a bit of interior work. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. So this is one of the wheel arches that we tackled. As you can see, we've attacked it with a wire brush, and we've treated it with some rust proofing, as you'll be able to see in a second. And there's a patch underneath the wheel arch, just underneath, like past the wheel arch, and that had a rust hole in it. So we plated that up with a bit of metal, and then we treated it so it wouldn't rust in the future, and then we put a tiny bit of filler on so it looked factory. So this is with the better of the two wings, but it still had a lot of rust on them. So what we done, we plated it up, welded a new lip on it because the lip rotted away. Obviously, there had been a load of dirt that had been kicked up by the wheels in the past, and yeah, so we welded that up, and then we reinforced it with some fiberglass and some resin. So all of the mud and water and stuff in the future that had been kicked up by the wheel, it won't hit bare metal, so it won't rust. And again, this is another part from the wheel arch, and this one we couldn't weld on because it's a curved bit, so we were a bit skeptical about repairing this one because obviously it had a nice curve on it. So what we done, we treated it with a rust adhesive thing, and basically we sanded it all down and then put the rust proofing on it, and then filled it up, and then put some stone chip on. I think it looked quite smart. This coming up is just a quick patch we done with a tiny bit of tin. We just welded a bit of old tin to it and then put a bit of filler on. So this is one of the biggest parts we've welded so far. This was the first sill we replaced, and the inner sill was quite rotten, so obviously we replaced the inner sill. So this is when we cut the outer and inner sill. This is what it looked like. The bit that goes underneath the door, we wanted to keep that there for a bit of strength. We barricaded the door when we took the door off, and we reinforced the bottom, as you can see, with that wooden pillar, and that seemed to help quite a lot. I think that worked a lot better than using the door brace. But yeah, so we took that off. We kept the bit on the bottom of the door to reinforce, and then we welded the inner sill on. On the driver's side, the inner sill was quite solid. We think both sills have been replaced in the past, but when they were replaced, they weren't coated with a rust wax. So rust, give it 10 years, they'd just be as bad as they were when they were taken off. So we've done it properly, and we've coated it with a rust wax inside and on the outsides. So hopefully it prevents the rust from happening in the future. And this is the driver's side outer sill before we took it off. Obviously you can see it's quite badly damaged. Underneath the bottom lip is probably the worst part. And yeah, so once we took this one off, we saw the inner sill was quite solid. So I had an inner sill for the driver's side that I bought like a replacement, but there was no need for it. So we just welded the new outer sill on, and it worked quite fine. This is another patch we've done. As you can see, it was very, very rotten, so we just cut all of it out. So we got some, and then we grinded it down to get some nice clean metal to weld off of. We spot welded, as we didn't have any gas in our welder, so we used gasless wire. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper as well. Wish we could do it, with gas, but sometimes you can't afford it. So we spot welded it, and then we filled it up, and then put some stone chip on it to make it look quite flush, and we tried as best as we could to get the wheel arch in the same shape with a filler, and it turned out quite well, if you ask me. Okay, so now we move on to the wheels. As you can see, these horrible Ross style wheels. I like the wheels, don't get me wrong, the wheels, but obviously they look in a horrible state at the minute. But they had these horrible plastic fake wire wheel hubcaps on top of them, so we took them off, and we saw the state in the rust styles, and then we sanded it all down, rust proofed the wheel and revived the metal, and then we painted it with just some ordinary silver wheel paint and some gloss black, and put a bit of clear coat on top of it, and they turned out quite well. Okay, so now we move on to the interior. So on the odd days when it started to rain and stuff, like we hadn't been able to get underneath the car, so we just thought we'd do a bit on the interior. So the first thing you'll be able to see is not the parcel shelf, sorry, just a shelf underneath the dashboard. It had cracked, as you saw in the first video. It had like ripped and it was looking quite sad. But basically what I've done, because I'd like to use, the interior is going to be like a new brown, like sort of tone of colour. So I've bought some brown vinyl just off the online, and we've basically put it over the shelf, and it looks quite good. It will match the interior I'm going for. So yeah. So while we're still on the subject of interior, so as you can see, the previous colour of the interior was like a beige sort of colour, and it looked very, very worn and horrible. So what I've done, I cleaned it all up, and I bought this leather and vinyl like stain off the internet. I'll put a link to it in the description if I can find the link still. But it was cheap enough. I just bought like a 250ml bottle, and it done the whole of the interior perfectly fine. So what I just suggest is just go on with light coats. I'd do no more than 2 coats, but it turned out quite well. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with how it's looked. It looks new to me. So yeah, it'd be nice to see how the interior looks once it's done. And I've also bought some brand new brown carpets for the car, because when we had it, the carpets had like all oil stains in it and stuff, and it just didn't look very nice. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this short video of how we've been getting on so far with welding and painting and doing the interior. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing. And yeah, hope to see you on the next one.